हरि ओम। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। भवानी शङ्करो वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ श्रीगणेशाय नमः। ॐ यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। Sorry. Hari Om, Hari Om. Namah Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadev. So Bhagwan taught Arjuna the path of Karma Yoga. Bhagwan gave various reasons why one should follow the path of Karma Yoga. So these are the two paths, path of Karma Yoga, which culminates in self-knowledge, and thereafter we have to pursue the path of knowledge, which culminates in abidance in that self-knowledge, which gives mukti. So Bhagwan says finally, कि श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणः paradharmat swanushtitat swadharme nidanam shreyah paradharmo bhayavah. Bhagwan says that one should pursue one's own dharma. Swadharma is all the time superior than to follow paradharma, somebody else's dharma or adharma or not performing karma. So Swadharma is very important. Our Shastras, they guide us to find out, help us in our Swadharma. So based on our Varna and Ashrama, we have our Swadharma. But in this Kali Yuga, lot of Varna Sankara has taken place, lot of confusion has taken place regarding our Varna. So we can use our own common sense, our own wisdom, our own conscience to find out what is the best worldly duties we can do. And those duties we should fulfill following the values of life, like ahimsa, satyam, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. Along with this, we should do our spiritual duty, that is yajna, dana and tapa. Every day worship Bhagwan or chant his name, means do japa. Then do some dana and do tapas. Focus your attention on Bhagwan. Integrate your personality towards Bhagwan. We have to develop that rapport with Bhagwan. So Bhagwan says that Swadharme Nidhanam Shreyah. While pursuing our Swadharma, even if we don't reach our goal and die, Bhagwan says that is better, because you will continue from where you left in your next birth. But if one pursues paradharma or adharma, then one gets perished not only in this life, but many lives to come in future also. So Swadharma is the best thing. After listening to this, Arjuna had this question, कि what is that force, what is that power within which makes a person commit sin, which makes a person abandon his Swadharma and do paradharma or do adharma. See, paradharma, adharma and not doing our duties, all are sinful only. All are negative. All will lead us towards more and more samsara and more suffering. So the question is, what is that which propels a person to commit this sin? Anichchanapi, against his own will, as though forced by some power, baladiva, with total strength and power, somebody is pushing that person to commit sin. Not outside, Outside also there are all sorts of negative forces. But here Bhagwan is talking, our Arjuna is asking about that inner force, inner some power which propels a person to commit sin against his will, as though with tremendous force. So Bhagwan replies, Bhagwan says that force and that power which you are talking about, which makes a person commit sin, is called kama. Kama means desire. See, previously Bhagwan had mentioned that each and every sense organ carries their own likes and dislikes. We are born with our likes and dislikes. We carry our likes and dislikes from our past life. Naturally, according to our own swabhav, we like something of this world and we don't like. Whether it is object, whether their colors, whether food, whether fragrance, whether places, whether philosophies, whether devtas, whatever they may be. We just have liking for something and disliking for something. This we carry in our samskar. We might give some logic, some reasoning, but they are all superfluous. Important is that they are the expression of our samskar. So according to our likes and dislikes, we keep contemplating on the objects of our likes and dislikes. That contemplation is what was called in the second chapter as dhyana on Vishaya. So dhyayato vishayans pumsaha. So when we meditate on the objects of this world, of our likes and dislikes, then that meditation leads to attachment. Sangha. Dhyayato vishayans pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate. We become attached. Our mind naturally starts flowing towards those objects. And when that sangha becomes more and more intense, it gets converted into kama. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Kama means desire, intense desire. We want to possess that object. See, when we like something, it may not be something which we have. We might like something which belongs to others. But it doesn't, we don't hold back our liking. We just like it. Then we keep thinking about it, then we start developing attachment to it. And when that attachment becomes too much, then it gets converted into kamana. Kamana means I want to possess it. I want to have it. I want to take it. So I look at the world, I look at what you call a simple example. I see the beautiful garden of my neighbor and I see the lovely flower there. And neighbor has put a sign there, nobody should pluck any flowers and all. And he's always there to guard it. But I look at that flower and I just get attracted towards it. I like it. I think about it. Every time I pass through that garden, I keep looking at that flower and I feel very much attracted towards it. Then, as I think about it, I develop that desire, strong desire that I want to possess it. So I want it. So when I want it, my intellect starts thinking how I can acquire it. By rightful means, I cannot acquire that, neighbor will not give. So I tried some unfair means. So my desire leads me towards adharma. So when nobody is looking, I jump into that garden and pluck that flower and take it for myself. So kama leads a person to do sinful actions. And if I get obstructed, if I cannot take that flower, if something comes in between, I feel frustrated. I feel angry. I feel angry with the whole world sometimes. So that kama itself leads to krodha. So this kama and krodha, desire and anger, are like two sides of the same coin. So Bhagavan says, once your likes and dislikes get converted into kama and krodha, then you start losing control over them. If they start getting expressed, then you want to have more and more objects of your kamana. More and more you want to indulge in the objects of your kamana, and that kama is such that it never gets exhausted. It never says enough. It never says, I don't want it more. It wants more and more. It's called mahashanaha. It eats a lot. And krodha also is very papma, is a very sinful. It leads us into committing lot of sinful activity. We become violent. Because of krodha, we start using harsh words. And when that harsh words also doesn't satisfy us, we start becoming violent towards the world, and sometimes towards ourselves also, and sometimes towards our own near and dear ones. So kama and krodha are the enemies. Rajoguna samudbhavaha. They are born from rajogun, and they also increase rajogun. The sattvagun and tamogun gets suppressed, and the rajogun comes up. Even if a person is lazy, tamasic, but that kamna, when it arises, that fellow just gets up and start working towards it. If a person is meditating in a peaceful state, when the kamna arises, all that peace and meditation just disappear. So this kama and krodha are very powerful, very strong. They give rise to rajogun, and they are born also from rajogun. Mahashano, mahapapma. Bhagavan says mahaashanaha and mahapapma viddenam iha vairinam. Bhagavan says in this world, for a seeker, not only for a seeker but even for a worldly person, this kama and krodha are the enemies. Vidhi enam. Actually it is one only. Kama itself is krodha. So Bhagavan says this is the enemy. This kama is the enemy. This krodha is the enemy. So recognizing our enemy is the first step. Then we will be able to deal with it. So why this kama is considered as enemy? See, enemy means what? Who harm us, who creates problem in our life, because of whom we suffer. So how come this kama and krodha is an enemy? What does it do? That Bhagavan now tells in the next verse, verse number 38. Dhumenavriyate vannihi yathadarsho malena cha yatholbenavrato garbha tatha tenedamavratam. Bhagavan says, he gives three examples. He says, कि just as smoke covers fire, dhumena avriyate vannihi. Vanni means fire. So just as smoke covers fire, yatha adarshah malena cha. Just as a mirror is covered by dust, mala, yatha ulbena avruto garbha. Or just as the fetus is covered in the womb, tatha, in the same way, tena means by this kama, idam, Idam means this. This Bhagavan will tell what it is in the next verse, but that which he says is jnana. So, tena idam means by that kama, jnanam avrutam, knowledge is covered. Kama covers knowledge. 3 examples. Dhumena avriyate vannihi. Just as the fire is like knowledge, and dhuma is smoke. So when we invoke that fire, let us say in a fuel, many times the fire is accompanied with smoke. Sometimes there is less smoke, sometimes more smoke. And when too much of smoke is there, we can't see the fire and we can't utilize the fire also properly. Too much of smoke is there which covers the beauty and the glow of that fire. Another example is the Adarsha. Adarsha is a mirror. So mirror is there in which we can see our face. But if it is covered with dust, then we are unable to see our face properly. If it's completely covered, then we can't see anything. If it is a little bit covered here and there, then we can't see ourselves properly. So just as a mirror is covered by dust, yatha ulbena avruto garbha, just like the fetus in the mother's womb, it is also covered. So when the child is growing in mother's womb, it is very beautifully covered, protected actually, and remains there for a long time. And it slowly grows. And at the appropriate time, then the child is born, and all the cover is removed, or cover goes away. Tatha tena idam avrutam. In the same way, jnanam gets covered with kama. See what jnanam? Here Bhagavan has mentioned 2 types of knowledge. One is the knowledge of karma, and another is knowledge of the self. So karma yoga buddhi and atma buddhi. While living in this world, we need the knowledge of karma, we need the knowledge of upasana, we need the knowledge of various in upasana we need the knowledge of the devatas, etc. So that knowledge related to our karma. Even if we want to work in the world, do our job, we require knowledge. If we want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer and all, we require knowledge. For every work, we require knowledge. And through that knowledge, we express ourselves in the world. But when our mind gets too much occupied by kama, by desires, and if that desire gets converted into krodha, then all that I know somehow gets covered. Means it is not available for us. I seem to forget it. I lose memory. As Bhagavan says, kamat krodho vijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti vibhramaha smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha buddhinashat pranashyati. He had said in the 2nd chapter that when kam and krodha arises, we become deluded. We lose our memory. We don't remember all the things which we have learned. And when we don't remember, the intellect cannot take proper decisions. So our decisions are expressed or taken by kama and krodha. We just do whatever at the split of that moment comes in our head. Thereafter, after doing that action, then later on, when our mind becomes little calm, we start repenting. Oh, why did I do? I was so angry, I just did it. I did not realize it was such a wrong action. People do lot of things in the fit of anger and in the excitement of desires. People do all sorts of things. They rage. Every day you read in the newspaper also that people get angry and just do it. On the road also there is what is called road rages. So the jnanam, worldly knowledge, also gets covered by desire and anger. Means knowledge is there. The person is knowledgeable, the person is wise. But when that person gets overpowered by desire or overpowered by anger, then that knowledge is of no use. It doesn't come to help that person. So not only the worldly action, but also when we do spiritual action, our desires and anger come in the way. They block our understanding. And of course, when we gain that self-knowledge and we want to meditate on that self, we want to gain that abidance in the self. And when we are practicing that meditation, at that time also if some desire comes or some anger comes, then it blocks that knowledge. I will not be able to meditate. It will distract me. It will disturb me. Even great rishis and mahatmas who used to sit in meditation, they used to get distracted by the glamour of this world, and they used to lose their attention from their tapas. The famous story is there of Vishwamitra Rishi who was sitting in tapas, and that Menaka came and he got distracted. Even when Lord Shiva, he sat in meditation, this Kamadev came to disturb him, and Bhagavan got disturbed from his dhyana, and he burned that Kamadev. So, Kama and Krodha, they cover the knowledge. Now, very interesting, these three examples are given here. They are very interesting. The knowledge is compared to fire, to what you call to a mirror, and to a fetus in mother's womb. Let us analyze and try to see the beauty of this. First we see the fire. See, fire has knowledge is compared to fire. Just as fire burns, this knowledge also burns. But what does knowledge burn? Knowledge burns ignorance and all the expressions of ignorance. Knowledge has got that capacity to burn our ignorance and all the expressions of ignorance. So that avidya is there, and that avidya alone gets expressed as kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsar and all. And this fire of knowledge burns it. But if you observe that when the fire burns a fuel, if the fuel is of a very high quality, then the whole fuel burns without giving any smoke. But if something in the fuel remains, if it doesn't get burned properly, then it gets converted into smoke or gets converted into what you call ash. The ash and the smoke is there because fire did not burn it completely. There are some fuels actually nowadays in our vehicles also. they have this fuel which are smokeless because it burns completely. If the fuel doesn't burn properly, if the engine and all are not tuned properly, then they start giving out more smoke. But if it is burned completely, then no smoke. So this knowledge burns our ignorance completely. But if this knowledge fails to burn ignorance, then it comes out in the form of smoke, and this kama, krodha, etc. are like smoke. They are like expressions of our ignorance which is not burnt properly by knowledge. Means we have not gained the complete understanding to burn that kamana, to burn that krodha. Therefore it comes out in the form of smoke, and it covers that knowledge. So we should first of all see that we gain proper understanding of karma, upasana, etc. through rightful means, through proper praman, with the help of our scriptures. If the means are not proper, then something or other remains unburnt, not burnt properly. So some confusion remains, some doubts remain, some questions remain, and it comes out in the form of smoke. It comes up in the form of kama. So the desire doesn't get burnt, the kamna doesn't, the anger doesn't go away. The total understanding has not taken place, or the fire is not kindled properly. One has not contemplated on the knowledge properly. One has not refined the knowledge. See, knowledge also happens in stages. We listen to our teacher, we read the scriptures, then we have to contemplate on that. We have to do mananam. And once that mananam is done, we get convinced, all our doubts get eliminated, then we should practice it, put it into practice. So all this is conveyed through this beautiful example of fire. So knowledge is like fire, and kama and krodha, they are like smoke. So kama is like smoke which covers this fire. Then we have another example of adarsha and the mala, the mirror. See, mirror is also a most fascinating object. So if we have a very clean and very high quality mirror, and if we stand in front of that mirror, it shows us our face, our body. Whatever is in front of the mirror, it is presented to us in the form of a perfect reflection. If you keep a red flower, the mirror will show a red flower. If you keep a white flower, the mirror will show the white flower. Mirror doesn't add anything of its own. Mirror doesn't comment on it. Mirror just presents what is there in front of it faithfully. That is the beauty of this mirror. Clean, proper mirror. But if it is covered with dust, or if the mirror is not of highest quality, then what it presents, nobody can tell. It will be totally crooked and totally improper. Knowledge is compared to mirror. So as I said, knowledge, if it is gained through proper means, through proper praman, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Brahma Sutra, and all related scriptures like the Puranas, Itihas, which are tuned to Vedas, are all praman. You can't just try to understand our scriptures by reading or studying something which are not tuned to them properly. So when we have the proper praman and we gain that knowledge through proper guidance from our teacher and proper contemplation, then that is like a beautiful, clean, proper mirror. But if we have not contemplated on this knowledge, then it forms a dust, sort of dust. We can't see things properly. But if we have contemplated, and if the knowledge is very clear, then it is like a clean, clear mirror in front of us. Now the beauty of this mirror is, mirror of this knowledge, if it is knowledge of the world, means knowledge of karma, it presents that karma faithfully as it is. And if that knowledge is of the self, then the mirror is so clean that it just shows us our own self as it is. The knowledge doesn't define the self. The knowledge doesn't improve or reform or manipulate the self. The knowledge just acts as a mirror. It presents the self as it is. This is very important and interesting also. Our Vedas, our Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, they are like mirrors, clean, pure mirror. If we study them, then our buddhi, in which the knowledge happens, our buddhi becomes like a mirror. And in that mirror of our buddhi, we come to see ourselves as it is. Because even the scriptures cannot define the self, but scriptures can act as a mirror to show us our own self. Scriptures cannot define. Scriptures also say neti neti. Not this, not this, not this. Scriptures also say anirvachaniyam, achintyam. When it comes to the self, they say anirvachaniyam, achintyam. But with the help of the scriptures, our buddhi, antakkarana, becomes like a mirror, and in the mirror of our antakkarana, means shuddha, ekagra, and shanta antakkarana, we see ourselves as we are. Dhyana avastita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yoginaha. When a person goes into dhyana avastha, he sees himself as he is. So that is another beautiful example here. But if it is covered with dust and all this, like kama, krodha, which disturbs our vision of our own self, we will not be able to meditate on ourselves when this kama and krodha arises in our antakkarana. They block our vision. Then this third example of a fetus in a mother's womb. The mother becomes pregnant and that fetus starts growing in her womb. Neither the mother nor anyone else can see that fetus. But it is there, she knows, she comes to know that that fetus is there in my womb and it is growing, but it is covered by all her womb, that placenta and all those things, but she knows, she can feel the growth. It takes its own time. And covering also helps the child to grow. If the child is prematurely born, then it's not very healthy. It will be difficult for the child to be healthy. Then it needs some external protection. But when the child is in the mother's womb and growing, then the covering also helps the child to grow properly. So knowledge is like a child. then that kamna should be towards that knowledge. Then the kamna should be to protect that knowledge. Then the kamna should be directed towards making that knowledge grow, and finally making that knowledge take birth. Huh? Many times people say, oh, kamna is bad, so remove all kamnas. No, some kamnas are good. Those kamnas which are in tune with our dharma and which are in tune with Brahma, those kamnas are good. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshapha. In the 7th chapter also Bhagavan says, Kama is my vibhuti, which is not against dharma. So when we have that intense desire that I want to gain knowledge, I do satsang. And when I do even a little bit of satsang, I listen to little bit of the scripture from a great Mahatma, then that enters into me, in my system, like a fetus in the womb. So just that enters into me. So I should protect it. I should develop the desire to make this knowledge more and more clear, more and more firm. I should worship it. I should follow all the rules and regulations of my life so that it doesn't harm this knowledge. So even a little bit of satsang which I have done, I should protect it like a mother protects the child, so that it slowly grows and becomes healthy and is born. One has to take care. See, just passively attending satsang or listening to pravachan without putting forth effort from our own side is not complete. Therefore, the beautiful mantra is that Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karvavahai. May we put forth effort together. The Guru and Shishya should put forth effort together. The Guru keeps on talking and conveying the knowledge, and the Shishya doesn't put forth effort, then it doesn't work. So when we listen to this satsang and all, it's like a child, it's like a fetus in our womb. Womb of our antakarana, we should protect it. We should protect with our desire to protect it, desire to let it grow, desire to see it taking birth in this world. So this, all these 3 examples are really very beautiful. You can keep contemplating and understanding the depth of these beautiful examples. So Bhagavan says, just as the smoke covers fire, just as the dust covers the mirror, and just as the womb covers the fetus, the Kama covers knowledge. Our Pujya Gurudev is to say that these 3 examples are like the 3 types of Kamana, the Rajasic, Tamasic and Sattvic Kamana. So the smoke covering fire is like Sattvic Kamna. A little bit of wind and the smoke goes away, and then you can see the fire very clearly. So if Sattvic Kamna is there, little bit of effort, little bit of Bhagwan's grace, the Kamna will go and we will be able to see that knowledge very clearly. Whereas the dust on the mirror is like Rajasic Kamna, wherein we have to put forth effort, little bit of more effort to clean the mirror. So when we clean the mirror, then we can see our face more clearly. And the fetus in mother's womb is like Tamasic Kamna. We can't do anything, we have to just wait. We have to wait patiently for the knowledge to develop, to grow and to take birth. We should have patience. We should keep doing satsang. We should keep studying. We should keep doing our sadhana. We should keep doing our upasana and just wait. At the appropriate time, the knowledge will take birth. So don't lose hope. Don't lose your enthusiasm. It will take birth. So just keep waiting and doing your sadhana and simultaneously protecting that knowledge. So thus these three examples, beautiful examples, Bhagavan says, Tenedam avrutam. So by this kama, this idam, knowledge is covered. So here only he had used the term tena and idam, did not mention kama and jnana, that he mentions now in the next verse. Bhagavan says, Avrutam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. Bhagavan says, Avrutam jnanametena. So what was mentioned before did not mention the term kama and jnana. Here in this verse, Bhagavan reveals that. He says, Jnanam etena avrutam kama rupena. Knowledge is covered by kama. Avrutam. Avrutam means it's covered. Actually, knowledge is already present. Knowledge, the ability to gain knowledge and the equipment to gain knowledge is already there, but it is as though covered. So with our effort, we should remove that cover, and we will be able to discover that knowledge within. So avrutam jnanam etena jnaninaha nityavairina. Again Bhagavan says, this kama and krodha which covered this knowledge is a nitya vairi, is a what you call vairi means enemy. Nitya means always. It's always an enemy of a jnani, a wise person. Wise person? But what about ignorant? Ignorant person also is an enemy, but ignorant person doesn't realize that it is an enemy. The wise person knows. Even when the kamna has come in the heart of a wise person, the wise person knows that this kamna has arisen in my mind. This trishna has come in my heart. This thirst, this anger, slowly I am getting more and more angry. That wise person knows that this will lead to a lot of sorrow, lot of pain, lot of trouble for me. So a jnani knows, before the anger comes, the jnani knows, before the kamna comes, the jnani knows that it is a enemy. And when it comes, also he knows, and when it goes, also he knows. But a ignorant person, a foolish person doesn't know. A foolish person feels happy when kamna comes. A very strange thing. A foolish, ignorant person feels happy when he has got some kamna. He feels great excitement. अरे ऐसा करेंगे वैसा करेंगे हा 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 हु है ऐसा प्लान करेंगे. So some kamna comes and that excitement comes. And more that fellow thinks about it, more attachment happens, and more that desire becomes more and more strong, and lot of excitement is there. And once that gets expressed, and after experiencing everything, when he starts feeling miserable, that time he starts saying, oh, that kamna really, अच्छे से मैं बैठा था शांति से, कामना आ गई और मेरा पूरा जीवन खराब करके चली गई. हाँ, भगवान शंकराचार्य जी राइट्स कि आवृतम एतेन ज्ञानम ज्ञानिनो नित्य वैरिणा. ज्ञानी ही जानाति, ज्ञानी ओनली नोज. अनेन अहम अनर्थे प्रयुक्तः, दैट बाय दिस कामना सम अनर्थ, सम कैलेमिटी विल हैपन. पूर्वमेव इति, इन द बिगिनिंग इटसेल्फ ही नोज. दुःखी च भवति नित्यमेव, देयरफॉर ही always becomes dukkhi. He is always troubled by this kamana. He knows that unless I overcome this kamana completely, unless I destroy it, I will never be peaceful and happy. Ataha asau jnaninaha nitya vairi. Therefore this kamana is called nitya vairi of jnani. Nathu murkasya, Bhagavan says, not of a murkha person, a foolish person. Why? Sahi kamam trishna kale mitram eva pashyan. Because a foolish person looks at kamna as a friend when it comes. And once it has shows its effect, tat karye dukkhe prapte, once he feels unhappy because of this kamna, then he starts saying, oh, trishnaya aham dukkhitvam apadita iti, that because of this kamna, I became miserable. But a jnani knows in advance. So, avratam jnanametena jnanino nitya vairina. And what is this kamna? Kamna covers kama rupena. See, the expression of kamna is ichha, tivra ichha, intense desire. Desire means I want. That is its form, this form of this kamana. Kama ichha eva rupam. Asyeti kama rupaha. And what is the nature of this kamna? Dushpurena. It is very difficult to satisfy a kamana. Very difficult. Bhagwan again gives the example of fire only for kamna also. So analena, he says, dushpurena analena cha. Anala means fire. Just as fire, whatever you put in fire, it keeps on consuming it. The fire never says that, oh, enough, bahut ho gaya. See, even when a forest starts burning, it will continuously burn non-stop for days together. It starts burning. Last year, that great fire took place in that Amazon forest. So many lakhs and lakhs of trees burnt. Fire never says, "Arey, bahut ho gaya, kitna din se I am burning all these trees. Please give me some rest." No. Whatever fuel you put in fire, it burns. It keeps on burning. It keeps on burning. Similarly, the kamna is like fire. The more you satisfy, the more kamna grows. The more you satisfy, the more it comes. See, our whole life is spent, and if the end of the life, if a person is asked, ho gaya, shanti ho gayi aapki? Did you achieve what you wanted to achieve? Did you fulfill all your desires? Are you peaceful? Are you happy? Are you ready to leave this world now? That fellow will say, no, thoda sa kamna baki hai. वो मेरे को वहाँ जाना था, ये खाना था, वो पहुँचना था. I wanted to go there. I wanted to do this. I want to see my grandchild. I want to see the wedding of the grandchild. I want to dance in that wedding, and I want to do. So that kamna doesn't end. The person ends. Kamna doesn't end. Therefore, we are born again and again to fulfill this kamna. Our kamna forces us to take birth again and again and again. So Bhagavan says, ki dushpurena analena cha. In our in Mahabharata, there is story of Raja Yayati, a great king. He had his whole family, his sons and all, but he got involved with some indulgence, some pleasures, started seeking pleasure, and he had all the facility, he had all the resources, so he kept on indulging in various types of fulfillment of his desires, kamana. Variety of kamna. People have variety. We have only these 5 senses through which we fulfill our kamna, but there are so many varieties are there. Non-stop. See, for our eyes only, there are so many things which satisfy our eyes. So many variety of objects are there. For our tongue, variety of objects are there. For all of them put together also, so many objects are there. So if one tries to satisfy, as long as that senses are in contact with the object, we feel very happy. As soon as it stops, again we feel miserable. We want to experience it more and more and more. So this Yayati For years together, he indulged in various types of desires, but still he was not satisfied. And slowly he started getting old, but his desires never left him. So then he again wanted to become young and experience more desires, more pleasures. So he approached a rishi and said, please give me my youth back so that I can indulge in sense pleasure. So rishi said, this is not possible. This is one-way traffic. If you become old, you can't become young again. Though some people try their level best to be young again, they color their hair, they go to some gym and all, they try to develop their muscles. If that doesn't work, then they go to the surgeon and do some plastic surgery. They select the type of nose they want from the catalog, and they do all sorts of surgery. But it doesn't make a person young. So Rishi said it's not possible. He said, please do something. So then the Rishi said that if someone is ready to exchange their youth for your old age, then it is possible. So this Raja Yayati came back home and he requested his children who were young. He said, please, for your sake of your father, give me your youth. So his youngest son, he said, okay, father, if that will please you, if that will make you happy, I am ready to give my youth for you. So he took the youth of young age of his son. The son became old and that father became young again and continued indulging. Still he was not satisfied. Finally he realized that this kamna is like fire. The more fuel you put in this fire, the more it burns. Kama janami te moolam sankalpat kila jayase. A very famous shloka is there where Yayati says that, oh Kama, he addresses this Kama and he says, I know how you are born. You are born by by our thinking of all the pleasures of this object, by sankalpa. So he decided, I will stop doing all this sankalpa and I will not come under the sway of my kamana. So he realized his mistake. He gave back that youth back to his son, again became old, and he continued then thereafter on the path of spirituality. So this kamana is very strong, very powerful, and it covers our knowledge. So Bhagavan told who is the enemy, but that is not complete. We should know how to deal with this enemy. We should know how to eliminate this enemy. So in the following 4 verses, very important and very beautiful, Bhagavan gives us a technique by which we can destroy this kamana completely. A very beautiful shlokas, and all of us can practice and destroy the kamana and realize our supreme nature. So this we will study in our class tomorrow. So till then, stay safe, stay happy, healthy, peaceful, do your studies, do seva of Bhagwan, contemplate on Bhagwan, meditate, do some japa, and we will meet again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 श्री राम जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम, जय राम, जय राम। बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम।